But this is kind of like the important thing because I think Chuck was talking to me about like how magical workings influence the world or bigger things. And you can see these films as magical workings. I think some of them are definitely magical workings, whether it's Fight Club or Ninth Gate with Johnny Depp. Those are definitely occulted, influenced movies. But also, like, these guys are doing rituals. The Good Shepherd, all these intel guys are at the tomb in New Haven, Connecticut, doing unspeakable things. And being in this tomb, they're being, like, born again, right? So they're going through an initiation ritual. And these guys are all being suffused into the highest parts of the U.S. elite. I mean, they really are elites. And so those magical workings are influencing these people, and they're going back too, right? I got something going on. Just like George Bush Jr. never missed a Bohemian Grove. Yeah, he never missed going to the Bohemian Grove. That was a part of his routine. He's not a Christian. I mean, he has a different religion. People don't get that.
No, and that's exactly the type of conversation I want to bring up that people don't understand. So I want to make this aware as much as possible, and let's just get right into it. Maverick, good morning. How are you?
Oh, good morning. I am really freezing cold, but we'll make it.
Are you ready for another episode of Hell Hydra? Hell Hydra. Oh, look, you even got the Home Alone gloves.
Yeah, I feel like a pickpocket in Victorian England, or like I'm going to, rob a house in Chicago.
Yeah, or you're going to break into Macaulay Culkin's house, one or the other.
That's right.
All right.
Fingerless gloves.
Yeah, so I woke up, my voice a little messed up still, cough still there. You probably heard it from the last episode we did, so I apologize for that in advance. I'll try not to talk as much and let William Ramsey do the talking, which is something that people have suggested I do anyways. Shut up and let the guest talk. I talk too much, so...
Let William speak.
Yes, let William speak. That's my bad. So let's get right into it. We have a lot to talk about. Occult ritual magic. Is it real? Is it happening? Is it really in Hollywood? Is it really amongst our politicians and other people that we don't even know about, calling shots in the background, influencing the world? Is it really? Because I bring it up a lot on the show. And I don't know, I talk about it like as if you already know. But in case you don't know, this is the episode to inform you about what it is we're talking about. It might sound like a crazy man talking about, there it is, another number, 33. There it is, 47. There it is. Like in the background, it's like all over the place. The square and compass, what's going on with that? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. Numerology is very important. I mean, William Ramsey is the guy to talk about when it comes to these things. So let's get right to it, man. I can't really talk, so unless you got something else to say.
I'm ready.
Ready to go? All right.
Ready to go.
Let's get into it. Yeah. This cough is killing me, but hey, we'll go through it. Like I said, I even got some tea right here, some hot coffee. I'm just trying to dumb this down. Welcome back to the show, William Ramsey. What's going on, bro?
Not much. Thanks for having me back. It's glad to be with you and Maverick.
Yes, it is good to be with us. I'm kidding. I say that all the time. William, I consider you a friend. I said that last time because you know where I live. So you're a good old buddy of mine. Thanks for a long time ago dropping off those books. Like I told you last time, I still got to buy some more. I'm such a procrastinator. Because he was one of the few authors that helped the show give signed copies of his books, which is like Children of the Beast, the one about the smiley face killings, the Prophet of Evil, which is Children of the Beast, right? And so
Children of the Beast, Prophet of Evil, Abomination, which is about the West Memphis 3, tons of Satanism there.
Yeah.
And then my newest book is Global Death Cult.
and Global Death Cult, which we did an episode, and it was very interesting, a very good episode. I believe one of the last episodes my buddy Omar was on before he took his break from podcasting, which is why we have Maverick here, by the way. And so you've been busy, man. You know, you're continuing to do this research on the occult. Like you said, you've had the misfortune to be getting into studying the occult for the last 10 years. And I say that all the time. Oh, that's occult. I mean, my family is like, you know, at Thanksgiving dinner, they're like, Chuck, shut up about it already. Dude. Like, we know, you know, like they know, but they don't know, but they're just tired of me saying it. And it's just like, for me, I'm kind of like, it's everywhere, right? So, this series, Hell Hydra, is, in my opinion, very important because it's summing up all of the stuff we've already talked about on the show. But I want to reiterate it and make people understand that the occult is real, that it's out there, that very important, prominent people are practicing it. They believe in it. They put it in the music. They put it in the movies. It's in politics. So let's bring some of those numbers, symbolisms, you know, those phrases, those idioms they say sometimes that seem to be, you know, tongue in cheek, but there seems to be a deeper thing going on about it, but I think you would agree, right, William?
Oh, 100%. I would say that I was very naive to it before. Like, I'm 54 now, so growing up, you're exposed to all these movies and things like that, but you don't. Me at that time, I didn't understand those deeper meanings. So that's probably why the reason why I'm so interested is because I was so naive and didn't understand those things. But they're everywhere. They're everywhere. And I was looking up. Our first show was in 2017, March 24th.
Yeah,
2017.
That's right.
FDR 14. So it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
And well, this is what I wanted to bring up because, you know, like I said in the intro, I bring it up a lot. I notice it, and I thought, I kind of dummy myself, but I thought this was a more newer phenomenon in movies and in music. But then, as I learned the information of what these occult symbols are, I started listening to older music and, of course, movies from the even 70s and 80s and so forth, even going back more even. And I'm like, what? These stuffs are riddled with occult symbolism too. Like I was like, they've been at it for a very long time. But before the show, you mentioned about the smiley face symbolism, what that could mean. That is one of the biggest symbols I see all of the time, including in this latest scandal of the Balenciaga stuff. And you made a whole book on even the symbol. So, or, you know, that symbol popping up. So can you kind of shed some light on that? And in case people don't know, what's up with the smiley face? I thought it's just a cool t-shirt to have, you know, what's going on?
Yeah. Forrest Gump invented it, right?
Yeah. Forrest Gump.
Right. It was on Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump has all kinds of weird occultism too. And that guy, the director there, also Back to the Future is very strange as well. So he knows a lot of stuff. I just saw a video of Forrest Gump making the as above, so below sign. Somebody caught that in one of these sequences where he's literally putting one hand up and the other one down.
Oh, yes. It's when Jenny's leaving on the bus.
Yeah. But the smiley face has, like on the surface, it just, and this is occultism. This is what the occultism mean is hidden meanings, right? So you'll see something and not know what it really means. The smiley face as a exoteric, right, look is just a smiley face guy, a happy. Oh, this is good. The esoteric interpretation is the smiley face represents kind of like the comedian. There's a really good from an occultist. I have to find it, but it also symbolizes this kind of coming new age, this new order. So they use the smiley face in the occult, and it really is suffused the whole culture. It's in music videos and fashion designers, and it's Balenciaga, like you said, but it's also involved in this smiley face killing mystery, this phenomenon of young men, which is still going to this day. And I made 2 documentaries about it: young men going out to bars and disappearing, and being later found in water. Nobody can really understand what the motive is. Like, why would somebody want to do this? What's the symbolism of this? But then when you read things like what the O9A really believes and things like that, you can see this kind of occult motivation that may be tied to that. I don't have evidence of that being tied to it, but they have a very occult worldview that's not Christian. So it's very strange, and actually pops up in the most recent sequence, or when you want to talk about a magical influence on humanity, is Stranger Things, right? Which in this most recent series, they had the portal was at the bottom of a river, right? It's super occult. And that comes, I think, from the Owen ideas, which is the underworld of the water is where Typhon, this kind of enemy of the gods in Greek culture, lived. Or Poseidon, I guess. You could call him a bunch of different names. But that's why, like, when you see a trident, it could have a different occult meaning.
Right.
But
and so
that's the whole thing about the smiley face is why are they going into water? Well, if your belief is that at the bottom of this lake, that's where the portal is to hell or whatever, that may be why you put the body in the water.
Yeah, and I don't think Christians understand that's kind of part of the actual symbolism of baptism has to do with those things. That's why baptism is important in the Christian worldview, because it's not just remission of sins that it represents to the Jewish culture. They understood it to also be this connection and this kind of like you're pronouncing to the dark side, you are warring against them, and so it's it's kind of the reverse effect, where instead of you're going into darkness to conjure them up, you're going into darkness to wage war against them. So that's part of actually what the representation of the Christian baptism is. Go ahead, Mav, you had something to say?
Yeah, I was going to say it's also interesting that the Ukrainian coat of arms is a golden trident.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if there's some kind of connection there as well. Like I'm seeing that all over the place. Even people who are way into it getting tattoos of this golden trident. So you were mentioning the water and Typhon, this connection back to the trident. That just seems to all of a sudden pop up now. Now that blue and gold is showing up everywhere with this trident. So I wonder what they're doing with that symbolism.
Right, and I think it's they say that in Crowley's. You don't know whether the symbolism is really occult or not. You got to kind of figure out the intent of the creator. Mm-hmm. But I remember in Crowley's book, Liber A is like worship me in blue and gold. So those are his numbers. Yeah. So the smiley face represent this kind of like new aeon. That's the whole thing about the smiley face, the occult meaning. And there's an occultist I came across who really distilled the use of that smiley face really well. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah. William, real quick, did you see that new movie? It's called Smile.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. I was like, well, that's that's obvious as it gets as far as smiling entities and wanting to possess a human body and all that good stuff. So that was interesting to me. But maybe let's peel it back one more layer before we get in deep into the occult and all that stuff. What is it that they believe an occult ritual is, these people in the occult? Like, why are they doing an occult ritual? And what supposedly gives it its power to work in society?
Right. I mean, it's a good question. Like, what is the idea of rituals? Like, even Christians have rituals, right? So most religions have some type of ritual format.
Right.
So I would say that these rituals are in the propagation of whatever their ideas are. And you can see it suffused through all these different places, at least in the U.S. There's so many places where these guys, elites or things like that, are doing rituals. But also...
Heads up, California. There's a statewide special election November 4th. Active registered voters will receive a vote-by-mail ballot that they can return at a drop-off location in person or by mail. Rest assured, your vote is secure. You can even sign up to track your ballot. Your vote is your voice. Use it. Don't delay. Vote right away. Get more information or check your voter status at sos.ca.gov. A message from the California Secretary of State.
Heads up, California. There's a statewide special election November 4th. Active registered voters will receive a vote-by-mail ballot that can be returned at a drop-off location, in person or by mail. Rest assured, your vote is secure. You can even sign up to track your ballot. Your vote is your voice. Use it. Don't delay. Vote right away. Get more information or check your voter status at sos.ca.gov. A message from the California Secretary of State.
Some of these other, if you have a magical worldview, like your idea is that, you're a magician and you're having power over events. Even a movie or a song could be considered in those views a magical working. Or, maybe there's rituals involved. And you talk about stories about like in hip hop and things like that, rap world, like there's all kinds of weird rituals going on there that people have come out and talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that these ritualized events, usually done in secret, are an important part of people who are into the occult, flat out Satan worship or anything like that. I think that that's the intent. So like, for example, like I know Crowley pretty well. He had something called the Gnostic Mass. And that was kind of like a ritual where they'd have all the candles, they'd have Liber Al, they'd have readings, almost like a religious reading. He actually borrowed the kind of layout of this ritual from the Orthodox Church that he saw when he was in Russia in 1904, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like the perpetuation of his religion. The Lima was this Gnostic Mass. So I think it had the purpose of bringing people in. And I think that these rituals I think that you can go back into human history and people are doing ritualized things all the time, whether it's a priest class or even in the Old Testament. There's all kinds of rituals back in the old Judaism or, pre-Second Temple fall type stuff. So I guess my point is that it's very satisfying for the people who are involved in those kind of rituals because it revivifies their ideas. And then I think there's probably a greater purpose of solidifying those ideas and putting them out into the world, I would say.
And I think they're with the secularization of the world that's been happening over the past 100 years, people are starved for any kind of spiritual experience or some sort of connection to something that is beyond this world. So you almost have had a fertilization of the ground for a long time, at least for the last few generations, where people are clamoring for something more than just the physical or the secular. So when they see anything with power, they start to move that direction, whether they really recognize it or not. At least that's what it sort of seems like. 'Cause there are people who are into those things, but if you ask them, they say, "Oh no, I'm not a Satanist. I'm not an occultist. I'm not this." But that's what they're really into, just because it seems like that's where everyone's being funneled. If you're in those particular areas,
Yeah, I've seen that for sure. William, now correct me if I'm wrong. I saw some research that, in their understanding of making a ritual work, what they need is mass consciousness or awareness of the ritual, at least. They might not know it's a ritual, but they want you to participate in what they're doing, maybe most likely unknowingly, because you're watching it maybe through a movie, you're listening to it maybe through a song, and they require in their mind's eye that energy of you, that attention, in order to make their ritual have power. Have you ever heard of that? Does that sound about right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think that's it. Like mass consciousness is really kind of like the effect of this ritual. So if anything, you're invading that consciousness and putting a seed inside that. Maybe like, would it be memes or memetics or something like that? Mm-hmm. So I think that's real. Like you look at 9/11, that's a huge mass ritual, and I think that the influence and effect of that, and I write about it in Prophet of Evil, is to have that effect upon people, terrify them, traumatize, and manipulate. So 9/11 was super effective. Like I felt for it.
Yeah.
And that's about that's something I've lived through in our lifetime. That's probably the most incredible public ritual done in history, because everybody watched it. It was Hollywoodized. But think about like if you were an old Aztec citizen and you were up watching this person at the top of a pyramid conduct sacrifices to this chaos god or whatever. Imagine how powerful that ritual is. Like you're probably terrified. You're terrified of the priests. The priests are the ones before the ruler. I mean, that's just an example of like the bloodiest public rituals. But they had Moloch rituals, and you can go back to like Carthage. They had baby killing rituals there too. And so that kind of stuff still permeates human civilizations. I don't know how common it is today, but Crowley talked about child sacrifices. So,
I was going to say that's going to be one of my questions, because it looks like society is starting to move that direction with sort of the abortion conversations that happen. And this isn't, it's not everybody who is having this conversation, but there seems to be a group of people who do treat it almost like a sacrament. It's almost like a modern feminist sacrament to accomplish some of these things. So is this the seeding of a future death cult in modern secularism, whether they say it or not?
If you're a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility and your machinery isn't working right, Grainger knows you need to understand what's wrong as soon as possible. So when a conveyor motor falters, Grainger offers diagnostic tools like calibration kits and multimeters to help you identify and fix the problem. With Grainger, you can be confident you have everything you need to keep your facility running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Insurance companies are not your friend. In fact, their sole job is to make certain you get as little as possible at a time when you need it the most. At the Paris Law Firm, we have a long track record of forcing insurance companies to pay you every penny that you're owed. If you've been hurt in a crash, call us at the Paris Law Firm so we can help you in your time of need.
Right. It's a great question. I mean, you kind of get that view of it, like their abortion is some kind of like magical thing, like they're perpetuating. So I think I found a definition of the smiley face. This is from an occultist. So I'm not an occultist. I have to learn it through them. But this is the definition. And we can go into the deeper meanings. Quote, the smiley is the symbol of chaos and the death of the Western aeon, embracing tragedy whilst laughing. That's it. So the aeon is like a cosmological age, not like an era, but aeon. Crowley's idea was like he was trying to.
It's like a weird
new aeon, 1,000 years.
It's like a weird perversion of God getting you through something difficult. You know, like finding joy really in God, but it's like, oh well, that's life is chaos, so let's embrace it with a smile. And I would believe they take it a step further and I say, let's cause chaos so that we can become stronger, right? That seems that that's especially what.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Yeah. I mean that's the way they think. That's the way their thinking is. You can see that in Fight Club. Like go watch Fight Club and watch this whole situation where Tyler Durden really starts a cult or whatever the character is. He's schizophrenic.
Right.
He literally starts like this a monastic cult in this house. And that's really what Fight Club becomes. And then they start doing kind of chaos magic stuff where they're burning things down. And then you see the sign, you see the smiley face on the side of that huge building. And they're laughing. And they're in on it. And then Brad Pitt makes this thumb to the chin hand signal. And like you're watching like almost like a magical
type of ritual.
And there's a lot of occultists in there too, like Jared Leto. We could just do a whole show on Jared Leto.
Oh, I know. Jared Leto's
smiley faces on his clothes. So you can see these connections. They're all there.
Right, including a 9/11 thing towards the end, right? Because
absolutely,
there was a whole blowing up of the buildings and all that stuff. So
1999 was an incredible year for films. Like they knew, it's almost like people in Hollywood knew what was coming, but they put out like The Matrix, The Ninth Gate, Fight Club. The one with Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's like End of Times or something.
End of Times.
It was kind of campy, but also had 9/11 references. And at the very end of, it was not in the book, right? The book is written by Chuck Palahniuk, or however you pronounce his last name. At the end of that, he's like on the top of this tower and he shoots himself in the face and he puts it like a smiley face into his face. That's the end of the book. But at the end of the movie, they have the Tyler Durden character standing over the destruction of two towers. And those two towers are the representation of the two towers here in LA. If you ever go to the Avenue of the Stars, you'll see those two huge triangular buildings, monolithic looking triangular buildings. Those are what are being depicted at the end of Fight Club. It's really fascinating. And go if you, I know people who worked in that building, but you can go to the top. If you ever get a chance, go to the top of that building and look straight down. And they actually designed the plan, like the layout, the landscape as an eye in the triangle. It's off the chart.
Oh my gosh!
Go walk around there. Just go walk around and Avenue of the Stars. So it's in your face. Like you'd be walking around there, going, "Oh, I'm just gonna have a cup of coffee," not knowing that you are following the outline of the eye of the triangle.
Yeah, that's why sometimes I kind of laugh when I hear, and I'm not making fun of them, but I'm like, I'll hear like really easy kind of Pentecostal type Christians when they're like, "Ooh, I don't like," when they go to a certain place, like, "Ooh, I feel a weird vibe here." I'm like, girl, if you knew you were surrounded by temples and satanic ritual, and the city you live in is likely shaped into this like weird gigantic altar type thing, like, we're in Babylon, baby. This is ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
So, but I was gonna bring up.
There seems to. Oh, go for it, Chuck.
Sorry, no, just before we move on, you brought up, Tyler Durden, the whole Fight Club thing, and it just clicked to me that he's tapping into something that is real, which the occult does, the actual conversation, I even posted about it because I agree with, there's a scene where Brad Pitt is talking about how we're just enslaved. We're losing our purpose. We're losing our spirituality. We're materialistic. Everything he said was pretty spot on, I gotta say. Like, I agreed with what he was saying, but his approach or his solution was the difference, right? And I feel like that happens a lot in the occult, where it's like they understand that there is something spiritual missing, and they believe to have the answer, so they bring in their ideology. And specifically, the movie was focusing on men. And since, the last episode we released was about masculinity and men and how they should be rising up, I feel like, oh, I'm so sorry. I feel like that'll resonate even more during this time, because people know and feel like we have the least masculine men in our time right now. And so I just find it interesting that there are people like him rising up, like the Andrew Tate characters, you know what I mean? And Andrew Tate, him, being called Top G, which is really reminiscent of like the G inside the square and compass. And the things that he says, sound very Masonic. For example, I heard him talk about God, so people were like getting excited, like, "Oh, he's like he believes in God. He's a Christian." I'm like, "Yeah, so do Masons." And the way he talks,
he's not a Christian. I think he's a Muslim. I think he converted to Muslim.
Well,
I've seen him in some kind of.
He also, but what he also said about God is what, if I'm not mistaken, what some Masonic people believe, that God and the devil are equal in force. And they're just opposing forces that have to exist. So in order to, he believes that because evil is obviously true and present, there must be an equal and opposite force, which is God. And so he starts talking about that, and I'm like, dude, that's so new age. That's so exactly down the path of the occult, and it leads right back to that. So he's speaking some truths about men, but then let's bring you back into this weird occult stuff. So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting.
No, but that's not. I would say that's Gnosticism, and it's not the Christian worldview where God is on top of the throne, Christ is in heaven at the right hand of God, and the Satan is underneath there tempting people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're an occultist, then the Lucifer is the king of the world and blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
But not from the Christian view. And if there's some subtle things in the New Testament too that, Christ devil enters into Judas, and you see the power of the Christian church, whether it's Paul or Jesus of Nazareth, having power over the devil and over devils as well, or evil entities or whatever.
Yeah, I think people don't realize that in those instances in the New Testament, Jesus never prays to a higher power to expel an evil spirit, because he's the higher power. He tells them to leave. He says, "No, you get out of here. You're not even, no." And so there was no, hey, I need to go to a higher, but he was the highest power. So when he told an evil spirit to leave, they left. I mean, there was no question about it. So
it was like Legion, right? The Legion goes into the pigs die.
Yep.
They're asking him for a favor. Let us go into the pigs, right?
Right.
The Legion ask the Lord that. So yeah. So my point is that this guy Tate or whatever, his worldview is not a Christian worldview.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it's interesting that he just kind of came up. I don't know where that guy came from.
Yeah, I know.
These kind of like culture creation people who are supported, like,
right?
Who's supporting them?
Yeah, he just showed up out of nowhere.
Yeah, I've seen these guys happen. And like the Lex Fridman, where the hell has he come from? Why is he getting supported? Why is he up on YouTube? Why are people wanting me to watch his stuff? I don't know who that guy is.
Mm-hmm.
I know other people that, I mean, I'm not going to mention some of these other names, but it's like.
Now let's talk about let's throw some names out there. Let's talk about people that are pretty prominent that you know of, either in music or in movies or in politics, that say some things to you, William, that make you question, like, what? That seems a bit occult. What's going on with that?
Well, you can see all these political. I mean, I was just watching something about Obama in his kind of Martin Luther King speech where he says, it's the power in between these stones. Super occult. I was like, wow, I can't believe he got away with saying that in 2008. But he's really the one running the country right now. It's not it's Obama.
You know, there's so many memes.
Tell you a lot.
There's so many memes out there that tell me that exactly that. And I was just kind of laughing at, like, Obama's running the world, you know, and all that stuff. And
I mean, it's a better job. Really, he doesn't have to do any front stuff. Biden obviously can barely figure out which door to use to leave his house.
But he loves ice cream.
He likes ice cream. I mean, it's a great job. You've got to it's the same relationship they had when Obama was president. Just send Joe out to do Smile and Glad Handle and Snip Kids, and he won't bother me. And that's what's happening right now. Like, my understanding, and I've heard this from Roger Stone, is that there's a meeting at Obama's place in Colorado, in D.C., before the day begins, and then everybody goes out to their job. So that's where the real and they have all these skips. It's like a secret compartmentalized information room or meeting room or whatever. So they have these like totally secret rooms, and that's really kind of like how important or impressive you are in DC is whether you have one of these in your house. So they're probably going in there and just doing all that stuff. Nobody can hear anything, and then the day is already, the agenda for the day is set, and that's the way we're running it now.
I wish there was
Really
I wish I had Ant-Man technology, you know, and I can just find these people and go sneak into the rooms and, like, I gotcha, you know, filmed you.
Yeah, but that's just one thing. Bush was the same. He had total occultism in his speeches, whether it's 2000, 2004, you know, the fire in the hearts of men. He's referencing certain stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't really know if any of I think that we've known that a majority of the presidents of the United States have Masonic ties. And that's just an intro. That just tells you something that they're at least involved in Masonry. But post-Masonry, who knows? But,
well,
they said they came out the last 400 years in the UK, every prime minister was a Mason. So it tells you how you're being wrong. Yeah.
But we just had a drop of the JFK sort of documents, and all of a sudden that popped back up, and you know, I can't remember who it was now, but put out the stinger of, the CIA was involved and, you know, heavily involved.
Tucker Carlson actually mentioned it. He mentioned it just this week. Yeah.
And so with that, there are a lot of people are looking at that to say that was the end of that president's run anything regime. If you thought they ever did before, from that point on, it wasn't the president was the front man. And it was all behind the scenes because they pulled off this thing. Hey, we're going to do it on live TV. The president of the United States is murdered on live TV, pretty much saying like, hey, don't cross us. Right. Do what we say. Everybody seemed to comply after that.
Right. I mean, there's been tons of really great JFK researchers. I've been very fortunate to interview much more experienced researchers into JFK than I. And you can see that on William Ramsey Investigates. But one of the more interesting ones is a guy, Salandria, who's passed away, unfortunately. He was an attorney. He looked through everything. He goes, hey, this is all a bunch of, hogwash. But his conclusion was the way they did that, the reason that they blew Kennedy's head off on November 22nd, 1963, is to show that they were in power. It was a blazing thing to everybody. Hey, do not cross the line with us. This is how serious we have. There's tons of deaths around JFK too, 50 or 100 random people. You know, people who saw too much or knew too much suspiciously died. But that's what Salandria said. He said it was done that way because JFK was not a healthy guy. He had Addison's disease. He was taking shots from Dr. Feelgood. They could have poisoned him. They probably had access to him. I know that Helms came. Like, they knew that they were going to blow him away. But that was really it. Like, don't cross us. And that was the position. And actually, 3 presidents in a row were removed from office under suspicious circumstances. It was Kennedy, and the wise men walked into Johnson and said, "Hey, you're done. Quit." And he said, "What?" And they said, "Yeah, we're not going to support you. You better just quit." And he quit. And then Nixon had Watergate, which was super suspicious. Like, those people got caught and they got framed, and he was gone too. So, and there's a lot. I mean, you can go through post World War II history, and there's just so many suspicious things. Even the Reagan shooting, the attempt on the life of Ford.
Yeah, I believe I saw also a documentary linking JFK all the way to 9/11 and the dates those things happen and why it happens on certain dates, which is something I wanted to bring up. Numbers, that happen. We see these cycling of numbers quite a bit, and if you can't tell, all of this stuff is influencing the world into the direction of the world order they want to create. So if you have any doubt still that the occult is around and it's influencing you into this pretty much hell hydra system that's coming. I mean, these are the steps. These are the steps. We got to do little things through music, through politics, obviously, because we need to control that aspect of things and so forth. But right before we move on into that, I wanted to bring a little bit more attention in case people missed it. The idea of consciousness of a ritual that gives the ritual power. Now, it is said. We can, it's maybe another whole conversation, but that when things happen on live TV, like we mentioned, that is the best time to do a ritual because you have everyone's mass consciousness to it. You have everyone watching it. And in their belief, you have your energy. You're looking at it. And the trick is to make you believe it, to make you, feel it, because that's their belief. Like, we need your energy to make this happen. You see this when you watch even like Hocus Pocus, and when you watch any kind of witch movie, or if you watch The Witcher, it explains a lot about how they believe energy and consciousness works and how they need it to pretty much. If you watch The Witcher, they describe like Thelema, like the
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
They get into it. It's a good. I mean, I like the series, but I'm not really. I mean, I like it for Fire Theft Radio purposes. It's not a very good series, kind of woke a little bit and all that. But anyways, what I find interesting is let's bring up a really famous incident that's maybe seems like, oh, well, that happened, and we probably will forget about it after a while. But the Will Smith slapping Chris Rock incident, right? Now, it is said in the community of researchers that was like a humiliation ritual, right? That they were humiliating, because they do stuff like that often amongst celebrities, where they suddenly go through something very public and very humiliating that's nobody knew about for a long time, and sometimes it's speculated that they have to do those things for whatever reason. Now, one of the speculations was nobody was watching the Oscars anymore, or was watching those things anymore. It was like, it's a dead like show. And the idea is that they needed something like this in order to bring attention to it. And that itself, that incident, brought more views than anything else they have done for years, for many years combined, right? That one incident. And so, in a sense, reporting that over and over was successful. It was a successful ritual because it became so well known and so, propagandized, if that's the word, that is just, put that show back on the charts, where it's like, oh, now we have all this attention back again. And it's like they require this in order for to move an agenda. So that, it's very important. And these kinds of things, of course, continue to happen. So I just wanted to bring that up because I want people to understand that things that seem just kind of interesting that happen on TV is probably a ritual, including... Scripted. What was that?
Scripted, yeah. Scripted.
Yeah, it's scripted. And I even felt a little bit that way with the timing of the Balenciaga stuff, because it blew up. I mean, who brought it up probably the most was the Conservative Party, and let's just explode this everywhere, right? And it just felt a little bit weird to me, even though I agree that that stuff is incredibly dark, and they shouldn't have been doing what they did with the whole kids and the sexual references and the Bale references and the smiley face references and all. I mean, we can go on and on with the amount of occult stuff involved.
The mind control themes, all that's all there.
Yeah,
but it was so weird because
the masks.
Right.
I was going to say it's so weird because you look at it and it's like, why this one? This has been going on in so many different areas publicly, MTV Music, all this kind of stuff. It's been everywhere for a long time. So why this? Why is this getting attention? Why is everyone all up in arms now? Where were you for the past 30 years when this was happening all over the place? Why this one?
Well, we're halfway through the presidency, right? We have the right side rising up, and you know they're known to be fighting these kinds of things. I feel like it's I don't know. You know me, Mav, and William. I think you know the show enough to know we don't lean left, right. We're not into the politics as much because we know a lot of the oppositions on both sides when it comes to the occult. So,
I like the new term that's bandied around. I like is the uniparty. So I kind of like that.
And so. I don't know, because, of course, I'm not against fighting against these things. I'm not against the right side exposing the darkness in some way or another. But I feel like it's exactly, in one way or another, it's still a successful ritual, bringing attention to these things and bolstering it up. And, of course, opportunist on the right and opportunist on either side. When something comes about, they're going to just take advantage of this chaos, right, this energy, and then try and push forward their agenda. They're like, see, this is why we need the right in power instead of the left, and so forth. And so, again, it's just kind of like people need to know that this is how the game is played. Both sides play the occult. They're not free from it, and don't get played, man. I'm just saying. Just understand.
It's totally true. And some of those right wingers, their personal lives are just as depraved as the left. So these things is a joke. I mean, you literally had George Bush, that's kind of like the Christian right supported him for 8 years. The guy was initiated in a tomb where people urinated in his mouth, all over him. Like, that's not Christian. This should nullify you from anything in political leadership. But the exact opposite happened, and almost no Christian leader gets up and ever rebuked Bush for his occultism ever.
That's true.
Almost all. I can't even think of anything anywhere on the whole panoply, the whole spectrum of Christian leadership, from whatever you are. Nobody even ever criticized him or brought up all that connections to himself and his actions, the occultism and numerology and all that stuff. Yeah. Obviously, under him and his dad. I mean, you want to talk about who was really running the Bush administration? Junior Bush. It's probably his dad who died. My first book is really about George Bush Sr. That's what people. If you read the whole thing, it's really about Senior. It's not even.
What was Poppy Bush Reagan's handler?
Absolutely, he was definitely Clinton's handler. When he died, Clinton was at his bedside, like he was his daddy, like his sugar daddy. I mean, I think that really the real story of Clinton is he really is the offspring of some of these familial groups, whether it's one of the Rockefellers who was always in, like one of the Rockefeller offspring of John D. spent so much time in Little Rock. Like that used to be kind of a vacation spot. I think it still is in the Midwest. Clinton has some relationship. His real parentage is fake. Like, it's totally fake. He's supposedly his father is Blythe, but somebody looked into it and said that Blythe was in the army in Italy for the time when Clinton was born. Like you have to have the time frame, right? Because it takes 9 months of gestation. Blythe wasn't even on the continent, so he was a convenient person they used to say that's the father. He ended up dying conveniently because he died in a car crash.
Yeah.
So that was supposedly his real father, and then Clinton was his stepfather, so he got the Clinton name.
William,
but he has a weird privileged background that doesn't belie his parentage. His mom was like a cocktail waitress. Like she doesn't have. How does this guy somehow get to Georgetown, then to Yale Law School, and then to at 29 become the governor of Arkansas? It doesn't add up.
Yeah, man.
That matches up with a lot of Obama's history as well. You know, they want to make him like I grew up in the, you know, the tough streets of Chicago or whatever, but you know, it's pretty much a trust fund kid, right?
Tough streets.
That's another mystery. You know, it's another mystery. He's a very mysterious character too.
Yeah,
there was some picture with Obama sitting on Poppy Bush's lap too, as a kid.
Surprised.
Bush was friends with his father, or his stepfather, I guess it was. They were working on some operations or something in Indonesia. You know, I don't have anything that I can document to point to, but I remember hearing an interview where they were discussing those. I think that goes back to the theater, to the scripting, that we think that, or we're told these different stories and things that, you know, where people come from and where they rise up and take power, and it's supposed to be inspirational, and they sort of build a legend around people. But the reality,
I hate celebrity speeches like "dream,
almost.
Keep going."
Yeah, but
man,
interesting that you use the word legend, because that is a term known to be used in intel circles, where you just create this fiction behind a character like Oswald or something like that. So
Mav.
They all have legends. Even George Bush Jr., his background is strange too. Like, he was AWOL for a year. Where was he? Nobody knows where he was. They know that he was on a flight, like a plane thing, but then he disappeared. It's crazy that he became president. Like, that's a felony. So there's really strange people about the leaders who are running around, and like, who's supporting them, who's behind them, and
right. And
I mean, the reality is these political guys are frontmen for hidden powers, very powerful people.
Yeah, very, and that's kind of my thing, because you know, we've had Gary Wayne on, and we have a lot of people that he's brought up that are related to ancient royal people. You know, he's connected those bloodlines, and that's another reason I hate when celebrities and politicians talk about, you know, oh, I was just a humble old person, and look where I am now. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I can't stand those things, because a lot of them are related to powerful people in the CIA, for example. You know, like, what was it, the singer, like a Rage Against the Machine, mom was CIA. Like, come on, dude. Like, everyone, you know, has this connection to it. And, you know, I was looking right now at the little weird connections between Ellen DeGeneres and her DJ that just died.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people around her mysteriously die in mysterious ways. And so it's just one of those things. And
Obama is related to Dick Cheney.
See, that's what I'm saying. And Ellen's related to the English royals, also distantly related to Madonna. Madonna's also related to, you know, English royals. And again, all these people, they came out of nowhere. It's just so inspirational. There it is. Distant cousins. See? You see? It happens. And so
there's a speech where he's talking, and he mentions, it's a very interesting speech by Obama, because it's a total exoteric speech. He's talking about how he's related to Dick Cheney, and then he mentions this guy name that nobody on earth knows, but he was a bonesman. He was from Yale. So like he knows what he's doing. Obama knows what he's doing. He's mentioning something for the insiders that the outsiders, or the profane, or, you know, whatever word the Masons use, the profane would never get. It's a really interesting speech, because if you know kind of the occult and some of these connections, you're like, oh, I see what he's doing. He's very clever.
Exactly. And that's kind of the point, that they do these things. And William, so in your research, do they actually believe all of them? Because I know some people do not believe in actual spiritual entities, and some of them do. Do you? Like, for example, the Anton Levy, they claim not to believe in a real Satan. They just believe in that you are like the God. So are some of these people, you know, like that? Or all in all, as far as you can tell, do they actually believe in a spiritual chief in power and maybe a heaven or hell? Or I don't know if you've ever looked into that. What's their ideology like when it comes to the afterlife?
That's a good question. I don't know. know. These guys, I think that their religion is power. So it's like, what can I get out of power? I don't know what their real religion is. I don't think that. I mean, they have the Bush family supposedly Methodist. So I don't know. But you don't ever see them state or say anything about their religion.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what their real. I don't know what their real.
It seems like in conversation when these.
I mean, what's the real Masonic religion? It's probably what these guys' real religion is.
Yeah, well, it seems like they all have like an apotheosis moment, and they all seem to want to live like gods in kind of a world made by their own hands instead of one made by God. It's what it seems like, you know. They don't outright say these things, but they're always saying like, "This is the end goal. We're going to be, you know, the royal class in charge." It's almost like they want to replace what Revelation says, where, you know, we have these crowns at the end, but we cast the crowns over to God, to Jesus, and we realize He is King above all. And it's kind of like they're the opposite, where it's like, no, we're going to wear these crowns, and we are in charge of this new world order that's coming, and we're making that kingdom come. So, according to their standards. So, I don't know. It seems to follow the biblical account, but through their version of it. You know, it's just like, we believe in that, but we are the ones in charge of that. We are God. We are the ones kind of pushing that forward. But that's just me trying to put these kind of two and two together. But I don't know what you think, Mav.
Well, I mean, I think, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, it seems like you mentioned this is sort of like a cult, but cults don't seem to be estimated or evaluated until you can identify their leader, right? We almost always identify cults with a leader. And so if the leader's always in the shadow, it seems like you're able to kind of keep that cult identification from really sticking because, oh, well, who's the leader? Well, we don't know exactly who it is. And so, you know, everybody knows Jim Jones and David Koresh and these different individuals. But if you can't identify the leader, it seems like it's still kind of slippery in the shadows, and people won't believe that there's any kind of connection.
Right. I think that's the point, right? They don't want the people to realize that these guys are all connected.
All right, William. Well, I am failing at letting you speak more. I can already tell that someone's going to get mad at me because I want you to talk more, but I'm always over here interjecting with my thoughts. But, Will, I'm sorry. Can I call you Will? Mr. Ramsey. Now, you probably get asked a lot of the same questions all the time. You know, like, oh, you know, they ask me this stuff all the time. And then maybe sometimes you want to get something out there that you think is incredibly relevant and important to ritual magic or you know, oh my gosh, what's his name? The guy that started the Thelema religion. It just escaped my mind right now.
Oh, Crowley?
Yeah, sorry. Aleister Crowley. And all of these things, you know, you might be bringing up the stuff that people are always interested in, like, oh, the smiley face, oh, yeah, things like that. Is there something that you would love to share that just people don't really ask you? You know, they're just like, oh, they never asked me. And maybe we don't ask because we don't know. And so is there some knowledge that you'd like to share that I just don't know and I never touch because I've never been down that path? And, you know, you've done this research more than I. So, you know, anything like that.
I mean, there's a lot of my books, like I talk about this kind of secret societies, secret connections, but I would say that right now, they're the globalist types, New World Order, One World Order types are really gunning forward. And we're at 2 years into their agenda of 2030. So the next 8 years are going to be very interesting. People need to be very aware. That's what I would say.
I think so.
This is just, the shots are just their first kind of... their first layout to like that. Well, it depends whatever's next. You got to really watch out for this. They're very sophisticated. They have the best minds to talk about behavioral psychology. So you really need to be very firm in the faith because they're going to try to manipulate. I mean, they went after people's jobs to take the shot. Like they're the lowest of the low. Like they know that that's people's weakness after they set up a system where everybody's working paycheck to paycheck.
Did you see?
Get you on that. So this is a longer agenda. So people need to really watch out these next 8 years and be very cognizant about psychological warfare, 4th and 5th generation warfare, where it's a different type of warfare. They're making warfare against the American people, but not in standard past means. So it's non-kinetic. It's through mind control, psychological control, behavioral control. So you really have to be firm in the faith because they laid out the biggest global manipulation in human history for a product that had never been tested before and got billions of people to take it.
Yeah.
Through the television, through mass media. So that's what I would say is the most important thing that I've been working on recently. And you can go check out my podcast. You can go to William Ramsey Investigates. I'm at Bioweapon Blues episode 20, just on a subset of my regular show, going through all the injuries, all the pain and suffering, the isolation, the mental manipulation, the global gaslighting. Now it's gaslighting, like, oh yeah, we didn't know what to do. They were running an experiment within an experiment within an experiment within an experiment this last 2 years, and they were very successful. They got a lot of people afraid, and they propagandized the hell out of people. So
absolutely,
that would be what I would recommend.
I just saw. I'll just give a couple examples here. I just saw. I put a reel out on Instagram. The same tactics they use, by the way, to try and manipulate you, we're trying to use to try and shed some truth here, which is podcasting and, Instagram, social media apps, by the way. That's why we are called Fire Theft Radio, in case you didn't know. We are trying to take that knowledge, that fire, and give it back to you in a sense that is, in our opinion, more true. So, in saying that, I put out a thing because a study came out, and my wife actually showed this to me, where they're promoting that people that didn't take the shot are more likely to get into car accidents. And they're really pushing that forward because they, and the article was mentioning, well, these people are just rebellious. They're anarchists. They just don't want to follow any rules. And that sparked another one for car insurance, is to kind of agree with it and say, well, because of that, we have to give you higher car insurance, premiums and things like that, because we got to charge you more because you're more liable to get into car accidents because you don't listen to laws. And so there's all these things that are happening, and people are reading this up. And I already know people that are lapping it up and saying, that's absolutely true. They're endangering our streets now. They're buying into that psychological warfare, believing that sort of propaganda. Go ahead, Bev.
Well, I was going to say, the statistics would also say you have to be alive to be in car accidents. So I think that's probably the other statistic that they're probably not really thinking about.
You have to question all the experts, all the statistics, all of the numbers. They're making stuff up. They're gaming the system. Mm-hmm. The political power. I mean, you really the country got lost in 2020 after the election was stolen. So we're floating free. They're still 2022. Well, we're in a different world place. These people did not win. Biden did not win 81 million votes. That's a huge gaslight too. That's a humiliation ritual. Right. Somebody telling you that complete and total BS that he got 8 or 9 million votes more than Obama. Like, what a joke. Right. Like, it's in your face. So the Republic is gone, and it's very important to acknowledge that. If you do not have free and fair elections, you do not have a proper functioning country. Sorry.
It almost feels like we are actually becoming a true democracy, meaning rule by the mob. They'll put it out there. They'll see how people feel on social media. And if people are behind it, even if it's completely lawless, it'll move forward because the people have kind of spoken now the court of public opinion is almost more powerful than the Supreme Court. The more Supremer Court, I don't know what word to use more than that, but higher than the Supreme Court. But it's almost like as long as everyone's behind it, we can kind of do whatever we want, which means we're actually becoming, like you said, the Republic's dead. It's becoming a true democracy. It's just rule by the mob.
Right, which is something when they founded this country, they wanted to avoid. They didn't believe in the mob. That's why you have a representative republic. There are always these bums on the left. There's bums on the right too. The bums on the left keep using the words "our democracy." It was never a democracy,
right?
And it goes back to ancient Greece. It was never a democracy. They did not want democracy. Plato said democracy is mob rule. Right. That's why you get your representative to go and act on your behalf.
You guys are talking, and it just reminded me what you guys are talking. It just reminded me what Gladiator is actually about. The movie Gladiator, to be honest, because I talk about this on the show. It's the conversations in between scenes that are the most important in movies usually, and not the greater scenes that you're watching that are like epic and wonderful and wow, that movie was amazing and whatnot. It really is the little notes in between, and that kind of is a running theme where they're we want a democracy, and he's like, no, it's a republic, and so forth and so forth, and that's kind of the scene that's happening, that's fueling the emperor that took over, by killing his own father, and the people that support him. And then another important conversation is when his the senators, the representatives of that government were saying, well, he's going to give everyone bread and circus. Spoilers, he's going to give everyone bread and circus to make everybody not even think about what's really happening, which is, I believe, what's happening with obviously all of our social media, which is something that people obviously point out. But of course, sports, the World Cup, there's always a sport in between the whole year. Like there's either hockey, baseball, football, anything. There's just something always to watch. Always. There's never nothing not to watch. And so we're just kind of busy. We're busy. We're not worried about it. Now, something that I brought up earlier, and I didn't mention, and that's all I got on my side, is can you bring up a little bit of the importance of numbers, and we didn't talk about it. And I want to bring it up because I mention it a lot. I see it in movies all the time. 33 is everywhere. It's plastered everywhere. You see 93, you see 47. This year, huge was the number 8 and the color green. Colors are important to the occult as well, and all that stuff. The World Cup little thing is an 8, the symbol of infinity, and so forth and so forth. And they actually used an 8-pointed kind of like star for the World Cup. The little divider between the scores has a little, what is it? Octagonal. What do you call it? That kind of star. I don't know. Octagram.
Star of Ishtar. I think.
Star of Ishtar. Yeah. There you go. And so, what's the importance of numbers? Why 33? What's going on with that?
Well, 33, I think, in his masonry is the highest level of masonry, is the 33rd degree. And 33rd, the sun rises and sets on the 33rd degree, so it's a form of sun worship, is my understanding. I've never been a Mason, but they do like their numbers. Numbers have meanings, just like kind of Christians will have numerical meanings. People talk about references to the good book all the time, Ephesians 6:12, they know that. John, God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten. They know these numbers. So there's numbers are important to people, but in Crowley's system, he had numerology that referenced certain principles or precepts or concepts in his religion. So 11 was the kind of prime number in Crowley's system. It is probably the prime number of the Magick system for the Western esoteric system is 11 for a wide variety of reasons. Primarily, it's the fusing together of the magician comes together to take the macro world and the micro world and fuse it into themselves. So they're symbolized by the pentagram and the hexagram, 5 and the 6 that come together.
Which they teach, which they teach in The Witcher, by the way. They kind of
interesting.
So if you watch The Witcher, it really teaches you what witches are thinking when they do a ritual, because they start talking about we can manipulate reality and make our own reality. Now, when we see it in movies, we often see they do that by infiltrating your imagination or some kind of hologram. Like in the show, they show this one warlock dude who can create an entire little dome, his own world. And in that dome, he had naked women eating from an apple tree. And that was interesting. And so he was there just living his best life, creating this reality for himself. And people outside of it saw a different reality. They just saw a castle, and that's it. And when we look at that, it's just like, oh, that's cool. He can do magic. But there's something deeper in the meaning of these things, that when you look from outside and you're an outsider, you're seeing a different reality that I'm seeing from the inside, is what he's saying, And that's really what's going on with the magic. And as one of the girls there starts getting taught witchcraft, she mentioned what you mentioned, where it's like we're trying to connect this magic, chaotic world with this physical world and make it blend and become our own reality. We're trying to make our own reality. And then when they become successful witches, they have to infiltrate into different governing parties and be their advisors on how they should be running business. And I was like, what is this? What is this show? Like, what's going on, man? And so I just thought that was
talking about the World Economic Forum or something.
exactly. So I'm kind of like,
no, they probably all have been initiated. They've all Biden, Trudeau, Macron, all of them have probably been initiated in one way or another.
And my point to bring that up is, when you start doing research like yourself, William, you start finding that a lot of prominent people, like psychologists, are working with people that are connected to the occult, and you start seeing like, wait a minute, magic is a little bit more, I guess, practical, pragmatic, not so spiritual as we think, or we are despiritualizing our existence, in other words, because we don't realize that psychology and emotions and all of that is part of our reality. It really is part of the spiritual world, because we were created that way by God. You can't make that distinction. We often do that even in the Christian world, where we say this is natural and that is supernatural. And it's like, actually, no, they're both the same thing. We live in a world created by God that is both of those things, right? And at one point, if we believe the Bible, they were both completely connected. And that's another thing the occult believes in. There's a disconnect between the spiritual world and the physical world, just like the Bible says that it happened because of the fall and all that stuff. And they're trying to bring that back in their own way, connected just like what we're doing in the Bible, but except we're doing it through God and through, Christ, and in a way that he wants it to be done. And they're doing the same exact thing, but through their own means. So it's like the oldest story in the book. It hasn't changed. It's just the time, right? It's just the technology, and things have changed. That's it. But it's the oldest story in the book. Nothing is new under the sun, as they say, right? And so I'm looking at these things, and it's just like, what's up, man? Every time, like, especially Tom Cruise movies, loaded with 33. Loaded with 33. He loves that number. Like, last movie I saw, Top Gun. Maverick, that's where you get your name, right? No.
Before.
But yeah,
he got it from me.
30. Oh yeah, he got it from you. 33 everywhere. So that's a highest level of Masonic thing, 33. But where do they get that number from? Why 33? Why is that important to them? Do you know, William?
Yeah, it's because the sun rises and sets at the 33rd degree. That's it. So.
Oh, that's right.
That's really why.
And then they connect it to Jesus, though. I hear that they celebrate the fact that he died supposedly at 33 years old, right? Yeah, so...
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't.
Yeah, that's
there's a lot of stuff that they know that we don't, but that's the stuff that you can kind of ascertain.
Right.
I mean, they supposedly give false meanings to the public. Like they talk about, Albert Pike talks about giving false interpretations of their religion to the public. They also talk about how the Masons will be the ones appointing everybody into positions of power. So they were thinking, like, we're going to appoint our own people in, this is back in the 19th century too, which would lend the credence to the fact of who are these leaders in the United States and the UK? How did they get into power? Right. And it goes back to, like, who runs the world. I mean, these guys are all Luciferians. It makes perfect sense.
Mav, you got a question?
I do. Actually, it's based on just what you just said, William, this question of who runs the world. And so it brings me to ask a question that I think is pretty timely for most people, and maybe they're getting stuck inside of a psyop. But do you have any insight on who in the world is Elon Musk and who is he connected to?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, he has an interesting background. I know he's well educated. His family was wealthier than he lets on. They're from, from South Africa, but he seems to be pretty self-made. I don't know how much is in. I mean, I think that what he really did cleverly is get the government to finance a lot of his operations, and that's how he got off the ground, which is the government supporting solar and electrical technology and things like that. But good for him.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know what I don't know if he really has. He's certainly not affiliated with the Democratic Party because he blew up Twitter and is giving all that information away, which they probably would want to make secret. I mean, you want to talk about infiltration and putting people in the right place. The Democrats are much better than the Republicans at putting people in power fulcrums and places like that.
Right.
YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. So, but as far as Elon Musk, I don't know. Haven't really studied him. I know that he wears stuff that is definitely occultic. His mom is like got all the Illuminati hand signs down, so she's got all the stuff with the single eye and sign of silence. You can watch pictures of her. So he clearly is not I wouldn't put him in the Christian camp, that's for sure. Not by his style. So,
yeah, and I think he's trying to present himself that way. If you look at some of his tweets, he's trying, especially with a response to Kanye or Ye.
Yee.
Yee? Yay, yeah.
Yee or Yay now? I don't know.
I thought it was Ye. I thought it was just the last half, but who knows? Last half of Kanye. How he's responding is he's sort of putting out things about Jesus and things like that, and yet for Halloween he was dressed like a warrior of Satan. So I don't know what the connections are there, if Jesus is part of his pantheon, or if again
that one wife he had where he had the weird baby with the Z name or whatever. She's into the occult. She knows heavy duty occult stuff.
She was a Burning Man.
She's affiliated with this band called Bring Me the Horizon.
Oh,
check out her video with Bring Me the Horizon.
I know Bring Me the Horizon.
What her name was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No,
Bring Me the Horizon has Order of Nine Angles ideology suffused through their stuff.
A lot of
them. Blues.
Yeah.
They have a lot of Crowley symbolism, the universal X.
Yeah, I was looking back at a lot of bands I used to listen to, and I was like, dang, I'm surprised I didn't conjure up a demon or something, dude. Like, I was like, a lot of
Bring Me the Horizon's heavy. Yeah. That's what they're saying. They're out late at night and the horizon pops up. That's why they have that.
Mm-hmm. There's and that's kind of my point. Like, a lot of people don't know. They're just listening to this stuff. It looks cool. They just see it as a sign of rebellion. Like, it's just art. That it's a sign of rebellion. No big deal. It's to rebel against the establishment. And it's so funny because today I make fun of everybody that used to listen to like Rage Against the Machine and those types of things back in the day. And it's like, it seems like you didn't listen to them enough because now you're completely submitted to this new Democratic Party. And like, it's like, weren't you a Rage Against the Machine guy? Like, this is exactly who you should be raging against, my friend. But
it's rage on behalf of the
you're in a fascist state. I mean, right now the left is supposedly in power, but it's total fascism. Their public private partnerships and all this stuff is just naked fascism. And them getting involved behind the scenes with these companies is tyranny. It's tyrannical, and it's against the Constitution, free speech. And it's led to millions of people dying. I mean, because they didn't get the right information, because some jerk through the back door Twitter banned a lot of people from telling the truth. So a lot of these people have literal blood on their hands.
Oh, yeah.
Literal blood on their hands.
Indeed, I agree. Mav, any final thoughts or questions before we land this plane, brother?
I think a lot of the subject matter that I think is most interesting that you go into is the Aleister Crowley connections with things. I really have enjoyed a lot of the material you brought out about that. Everybody, everything seems to be pointing back to certain figures. Is there anyone who will become an Aleister Crowley sort of figure in our day? Or is it always going to be pointing back? Is there someone today,
Damien
or is
Eccles,
it more powerful?
Look at Damien Eccles is probably the primary, who's young enough. Some of these people are passing away. Genesis Bureau just passed away. And Michael Aquino died with a bullet shot to the head. Suicide or not, I don't know what happened to him. He died a couple of years ago. So these guys passed away. Damien Eccles is young enough, knows about mega rituals, and is probably the person to watch. Who always references his social media. Like 10% of his stuff is referencing Crowley, talking about Crowley. So
now, if people don't know,
watch all his friends and all his buddies, Depp, all these celebrities, all these guys, Henry Rollins, people who supported him, Peter Jackson, who's supposedly in a cult. So they're out there.
Now, in case people don't know, can you kind of shed some light on Damien Eccles? A little, like, who is he?
Well, he was just a guy living in West Memphis, Arkansas, and it was involved in the killing of 8. He's been found guilty twice, actually, killing of 8 young boys. Back in 1993 was when the crime happened. It had all kinds of ritual components to it. He was found guilty 1994 with 2 other guys, Jason Baldwin, Jesse Miskelly. Then there was a documentary done by HBO called Paradise Lost. And it kind of put the case into the public mind. There were 2 subsequent documentaries, so it became a trilogy. And then it became kind of a cause célèbre. He always claimed innocence. And he began to get support from people in Hollywood saying that he was innocent and this whole thing was rigged and things like that. And it led to this kind of public thing about the injustice of what supposedly he went through, which is nonsense, leading to his release from jail in August. I think it was August 2011. He's been out for about 10 years, but he always claimed like, oh yeah, I wasn't involved. But people were saying, you're an occultist, blah, blah, blah. He gets out. What does he do? He starts writing books about the occult, covers his whole body in the kind of script of the Illuminati, and has tons of occult tattoos. And has been seen in the company of some of these people I mentioned, Children of the Beast. And I put a book out about him in 2012. I think it's 10 years old. I still think it stands the test of time. It's Abomination, Devil Worship, and Deception in the West Memphis 3 Murders.
That was the last copy I sent out to somebody, a supporter of the show, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, that seems scary. Why'd you send me that?"
It is scary.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Funny.
And so he's been around. I think he's in New Orleans right now, and he kind of runs he's got I think if you called him a New Age occultist, I think that would stick. So I think that's kind of what he is. So you could keep tabs on him. You can watch his social media. If you want to learn about the occult, you can just follow his social media because he puts out all his knowledge. He actually said on the stand back when he was 18, what do you know about the occult? I can't remember exactly what it said. And he said, I know everything about the occult. So he was very skilled in Crowleyan magic, in Gold Dawn magic, ceremonial magic. He was very knowledgeable about that and really was is a lifelong practitioner. And it's been exposed that he was a member of the OTO, Crowley's OTO, and describes himself as a Thelemite or Thelemite in the OTO's own documents, actually. So, that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, well, the thing is wow, I couldn't speak there for a moment. The thing is Crowley, I mean, you talk about this in your book, so if people are interested in this kind of stuff, you talk about every single person that was affected or influenced, or not every single, obviously you can't keep track of that, but a lot of these famous people that to this day reference Crowley, just like it's part of their life, no big deal. I mean, we spoke on the show about Marina Abramovich and her connections to all of these celebrities, and she's doing all of this stuff that Aleister Crowley used to do, or Crowley used to do, and so it's just it's connecting the dots. People, celebrities, friends, families always dying, car crashes, suicides, heart attacks. It's like the same kind of stuff. What's going on with all this? It just seems very weird to me.
Suspicious stuff. Yeah, Abramovich is tied into all this Balenciaga stuff. She knows all these people, that same group, Kanye, there's pictures of Kardashian with her, with Abramovich, Jay-Z. Kanye was a Jay-Z Rockefeller follower, or he became a member of Rockefeller Records at one point. Mm-hmm. So these guys are in a very small circle with Abramovich.
Absolutely.
Spirit cooking, blood ritual, pouring blood on the picture of a young child. Like, she is a heavy-duty occultist. Mm-hmm. She denies it, but you don't quite trip and put a downward-facing pentagram carved into your own blood,
Right. So that's right. Yeah, no. Well,
that's another witch. She's a literal witch. She's a New World Order witch. She's got connections to very powerful people. Mm-hmm. So these are power, and it actually goes back through time. If you look at some of these people who are involved in power, whether it's the King of France, Gilles de Rais, who was like the Marshal of France, who had these occult followers, and a lot of these dark-sided kings, they usually surround themselves with these mystery men or John Dee, things like that. So I think it's keeping in line with history. You said nothing's changed. Go back and look at the Old Testament. Read it from an occult. Like, you could just do a show on the occult Old Testament. Moses battling with Jannes and Jambres in Egypt. The battles against the priest of Baal, right? Which prophet was that? It was Jeremiah or Ezekiel?
Elijah.
Ezekiel, I think it was. Who was it?
Elijah,
I think. Was it Elijah? I think that's right. It was Elijah and the priest of Baal. So all that stuff, like these contests between people, who are following the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and these occultists is old news. It's old news.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned Moses and battling with the priests in Egypt. One of the things I thought when Will Smith hit Chris Rock, like we were talking about before, is that now we know for sure that Will Smith will not see the promised land because he struck the rock. He was supposed to go and talk with him, but he struck him instead.
Yeah, and
we know the names of those two priests because Paul mentions them. They're just called the priests of Egypt, but Paul mentions them specifically. So that some of that information is lost through time. Like there may have been documents that Paul saw that nobody in present day.
Maybe they reference them like we do Crowley. These were influential priests that had continuing followers and information.
I just found out not too long ago in the occult, they in a certain sect of the occult, they hold Moses to be a high-ranking magician, and they actually look towards to him as as like he's one of the greats in an occult way, though. And I learned that from the occult rejects who used to be in secret society. I think the Golden Dawn or something. They were rejected. Their
one was a Golden Dawn practitioner, the other was in the OTO.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know what their kind of status is now, but I've interviewed those guys a couple times. I've been on their show.
Yeah, and so I thought that was interesting because again, it goes back to let's take biblical reality and let's twist it a little bit and do our thing with the occult and things like that. But just goes on and on and on, man. It's kind of, I think. The last question I got.
It goes to interpretation. I think it's important because it shows how they're interpreting what Moses is doing, whereas somebody else is interpreting. These guys are operating through the power of God. All the prophets, including Moses, plus Jesus of Nazareth.
Right. And my final question.
Paul and the post Christ era too, right?
Right.
All the apostles, Paul, etc.
Yeah. No, exactly. And that's kind of, it's just important to see that distinction in that battle that has been happening for a very long time, and we're still in the midst of it. And this is part of how you battle against it, fellow believers, is disinformation. William, would you agree that we need to know this information? Obviously, you wouldn't think to do 10 years of research or more and put all this work if you didn't think it important. Why do you think this is important for people to know?
It's for believers and non-believers as well. So, I mean, I'm definitely a believer Jesus Christ is the Messiah, the Jewish Messiah, the world Messiah, Christ. So I think that these kind of contests in reality, even Christ is contesting with these types of people as well, are very important in understanding our present time. In the past, just like you said, the past isn't really that past. I mean, the past is really present. And contextualizing the past and the present, I think you can see, like I just did, like these guys are contesting against these kind of darker occultist forces where the priests of Baal, which did unspeakable, horrible things, ritual magic for that time. But so I think it's important to know because I think it also provides clarity and contextualizes the story of the New Testament in present day and shows its importance, and it's still valid. It still holds up in time as a way of interpreting culture and society in the present day, and what's good and bad, just making value judgments. Like the occult to me is bad and leads to a dark place, and it's really the head of the occult, really the devil. So understanding these things will help you avoid them as well,
right? And
not give energy, and they're really energy vampires. So you're not giving energy to it, not being confused by it, not being led astray by it either, or being tempted by it. So I think that just having that kind of knowledgeable clarity, that's why my book's tons of footnotes. Like Children of the Beast has over 800 footnotes, and you can just go back and check it out yourself. Like then you can see, like that was one of the things that it was my own interest is like, is this really real? And I've satisfied my own curiosity. Yes, these people believe this. They have a religion. They act on the religion. They have a magical worldview. Crowley had this idea of transforming the world into a big magical environment. It distilled in the number 418, which is his number for mass world illumination. That's what he really thought. So some of his followers believe that as well. So it's just important to see that, and you see that battle between good and evil, God and the devil, still taking place in the present.
Amen, man. That's exactly what I believe. So I just wanted people to hear you say it, because I say that all the time. That's what the show's about. we want all this information. I get it from even family members. Like, why is that even important for me to know? Like, who cares about the occult or it's one of my least favorite answers when I talk to other Christians. Like, all I need to know about is Jesus. And I'm like, I agree. It's good to know about Jesus. Okay. But you're also called to war against evil. And it is just rule number 1 in military strategy: know thy enemy. You know what I mean? Know thine enemy as much as you can. And if you do, you can battle against him anywhere. You'll know, and you'll avoid getting ideologically subverted, because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to subvert your mind ideologically. If they can pollute Christianity, they will. They a lot of times don't even want to take away your faith. They just want to pollute it with all of their nonsense right in the middle somewhere, so it renders it ineffective. And you think you're a Christian, but you're kind of useless, because you're like, no. You got this other weird ideology mixed in there. And guess what? You were subverted by the occult, and now you think, you're doing all right, but no, you're not, And I've been guilty of that in the past, so I'm just speaking from a place of experience. I'm not trying to bolster myself up. By the grace of God, I think that I know I was able to see these kinds of things because I was so taken and entertained by the media, the world, like the movies, the music. I bought into it hard, and I was a Christian. I had no idea all of this stuff was happening, voting left, voting right. I didn't know, So now knowing, I see the movies and I'm like, I can enjoy the movie still, but I also know what it's trying to do. I also know it's trying to promote leftist ideology. I also know it's trying to make Christianity ineffective, or trying to portray it as not real, So almost made it without coughing. And so it's good, and this is why it's important. And so, William, hold the line. Stay right there. These people are going to listen to some dope music. We will be right back, and you can plug all your stuff, and then we'll have some final thoughts. We are good to go. We'll be right back. All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back, William. We just scratched the surface of your knowledge. If people want to know where they can know more about Alistair, know more about the smiley face killings, a lot of stuff that you've done, and even this new cult that could be rising, this death cult that's happening, which we also did an episode on, which I highly suggest you guys go back and listen to that. Where can they find your information? Where can they find your books? And go ahead and share that.
All my books are available on Amazon. You can get signed copies at WilliamRamseyInvestigates.com. And then I have over 800 episodes now on my podcast, and you can check that out at iTunes
gracious.
Or Spotify. It's William Ramsey Investigates. You can check it out.
How long have you been podcasting?
Top 1% of all podcasts in the world.
There you go. How long have you been podcasting, William?
Well, it was kind of a strange thing. Like, it kind of morphed. I was writing books. I worked for Ed Opperman for 3 years as a producer, and I started interviewing maybe back in 2016 for my YouTube channel, which got censored. But then I was I figured out I got to get my audio and stuff off of YouTube, so I started posting it on Spreaker. And then about a year and a half ago, I looked on listens. It said my show was in the top 1.5% of the world. I was like, wow, I should just be doing this. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty much focused on just doing audio stuff on Spreaker, and then I moved. Spotify took me on, so I'm on Spotify. I'm hosted by a Spotify company called Megaphone right now.
Oh, there you go. Oh man, that's crazy. I'm over here proud about getting close to 100 episodes, and you're over there almost close to 1,000. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, it's a mix of those. So I've interviewed people, but sometimes I put the people who've interviewed me as well. So it kind of is a little mix of everything. And I've got true crime, history, occult, investigating the occult, Christian, a lot of Christian guests. So there's a little mix of anything. If you have a particular genre you're looking for, you can probably find it at William Ramsey Investigate.
Yeah, well, I like how you, when you record, you kind of share that feed also on your platform. I definitely got some cross listeners from your side, so appreciate that. Thank you for that. And Mav,
I'll post this too. So I'll tell me what links you want, and I'll get you some of my listeners. Yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Anything from you, Mav?
Yeah, I think, trying to say, hey, we're going to talk to William Ramsey. It's, it's not going to be a joyous, fun sort of conversation. It's an exposing the darkness kind of conversation. And one reason I think that your information, your investigations are so important is I think the modern church has really allowed that muscle of exposing the darkness to atrophy. I think we don't do it very well because a lot of times when the church does try to expose something, it feels like it's for a different purpose than the gospel of Jesus Christ, like just truth. It seems like, let's expose this so that we can vote a certain way, or let's expose this so that you can give money to this thing. And just being able to say, we identify the evil and we're unmasking it so that there can be truth, put in its place instead, or to say you're going down the wrong path. We seem to have missed our opportunities, and so your information, I think, allows us to start to do that. And I'm sure you'd like to be out of a job where all those things are already exposed and the churches are talking about it, and so to that end, I think your information is really important. And so I would say if you're listening to this, you got to share some of this stuff out. Have conversations about it, talk about, did you see what William Ramsey put up there the other day, and talk about these different things. Do you find it difficult to talk to other Christians about these things too?
I think in certain contexts, I don't even know if my work is really appropriate for a church, to be honest with you. I think that I'm in the right place where people can see and listen to it outside of a church, but contextualize it. And I do think it's unmasking and exposing it. And I think it's also like the way of the Lord is a straight and narrow path. So understanding this, like that bramble bush is over there, I'm going straight through. I don't have to go out and get caught up in that. And a lot of these occultists and darkness, that route, I mean, the level of desolation and misery surrounding Crowley and all these other occultists and ruin, you want to avoid that. It's a pitfall. So I think it's good to know. I think it's not for, you don't want to stay on some young child and talk to them, but as an adult, a man, and know what kind of era you're in, the signs of the times.
I'm imagining myself.
These are the signs. I talk about signs of the times. These are the signs. Like Revelation. These guys are putting the book of Revelation together. Yeah. That's the interesting thing about Crowley that from an outsider wouldn't know. He took so much information out of Revelation and twisted it into his own thing. Like he wanted to fulfill the marriage of the beast and the whore of Babylon. Like those are part of his rituals. Like it's unbelievable. So
right. And
they know what they're doing. Yeah. So that's one of the things that you wouldn't get out of a Bible, but then you understand the thinking of the people who worship Satan. You kind of go, okay, this is real. This is really.
That's a very good point, because people don't realize there's actually people trying to make that happen, right? Like you're reading the thing and it's going to happen, but then you're like, oh, okay, well, it'll happen one day. But what if you're in that time where that person is the one trying to make it happen? Like, I can imagine the mind of the person during that time, living in the time in which the Bible was written, They probably had no idea that this was incredibly epic and this was going to be something we're reading thousands of years later. They're not thinking about that at all. They're just kind of living life and experiencing it firsthand. And we have the privilege to know that it's going to happen. And so why can't we think, hey, man, this could be it. Who knows? This could be it. I mean,
we're headed there. I mean, imagine being like in 400 AD, reading Revelation and just being mystified by the entirety of it. Yeah. Martin Luther wanted to take Book of Revelation out of the corpus. He just didn't think it made any sense.
Right.
But all those people through faith or the Spirit kept that book there. And here we are today. The earth is just filled with this huge population of 6 or 7 billion people. And you can literally watch the book. I mean, there's like funny memes on social media of like what part of the Book of Revelation is going to be fulfilled today.
Right.
Like that should be a testament to the faith.
Right.
Like this is it. Like not just that it's extant that you're seeing the Book of Revelation, but all people, the generations of believers kept that book in there, the book of John of Patmos.
I think at this point now they say it's about 1,500, almost 1,600 prophecies fulfilled, right? And so, I mean, people take credit in like the writings of Nostradamus, which is a whole nother conversation, and maybe 2 or 3 of those things kind of came true, and then we're over here with the Bible with 15 to 1,600 prophecies come true, and they're like, we can't believe in that thing, and so that's interesting, right? Well, folks, I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. I apologize again for the coughing and all that good stuff. You know where to find us, firetheftradio.com, or on iTunes and Spreaker. We're on there as well. William, how do you... We'll talk after. Well, after the thing, I got some questions for you about Spreaker and all that stuff. See, but you can email us at firetheftradio@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook. Find us on Instagram. If you'd like to support the show, please help us out at firetheftradio.com. There's a support page. If you don't like Patreon or you don't want to subscribe, you want to do a one-time thing, you can email us and, we can send you links to go either through PayPal, Venmo, whatever. If you do, the more you do, the more I'm able to get more books. I keep telling William, you were the first books that went. Every time people asked, they were like, I have signed copies of a lot of authors and they were like, we want Williams, and they went out really quick, so definitely would love to give more of those. And folks, if you
I'll send you some promotion copies. I'll send you some. I got tons of books lying around.
There you go. And so
I know where you live.
I know exactly. At night. He does. He's the only guest ever to know where. I mean, I think we're the closest as far as guests that I've ever had. We're pretty close. So, just don't tell him that how badly my trailer park is and how it looks. Okay, it was embarrassing. I'm just kidding.
Right. Your mansion. I was embarrassed to see how big it was.
Did they let you in?
Security guard.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, did they let you in? Okay, it was good. All right. But all right, folks, that's all we got. And of course, don't forget to spread the fire. Later.